It's a tough life being a petrolhead, isn't it? Because we're always on the hunt for another car, even though we love our cars dearly. Like this car here, my Mercedes-Benz CLK 200. I absolutely think this car is fantastic and I'm not planning to get rid of it anytime soon. But I do find myself always looking online on various websites like Auto Trader and eBay at what cars I could get hold of for, you know, reasonable money, like let's say less than 10 grand. What I tend to do is I just have a little bit of window shopping, and it scratches that itch without actually going to buy the car and spending that money. I've come up with a few cars that I quite like, and I, you know, they're all less than around £10,000, or in some cases only 2,000 or 3,000, and they're cars that I think are very affordable but also very interesting and different, and many of them you just don't really see on the roads, which again I think is a very much a petrolhead thing, at least for me. I want to have a car that is different and you don't really see very often. Now, the very first brand on the list with two cars is Infiniti, and the reason they're on there is because when was the last time you saw an Infiniti, if you even know what one is, because they're so unusual, and they are basically the luxury arm of Nissan. They are what, you know, Lexus is to Toyota, but they never really kicked off here. Nobody ever really knew about them in the UK at least, and therefore they never sold hardly any of them. So if you look on Auto Trader now at the Infiniti Q50, which is their equivalent of the 3 Series, okay, it's not the very best looking car in the world. It's a bit strange with its sort of melty looking swoopy lines on it, but I can forgive that because it's just different and you don't see them. And apparently it is a pretty well engineered car with Mercedes underpinnings, including Mercedes engine. In 99% of them they've got the 2.2 litre diesel engine that they put in Mercedes at the time as well. I mean, I'm looking on Auto Trader now, you can have one for like £4,500 now. There might actually be something wrong with that car because that seems suspiciously cheap, but you know, £6,000 will get you a good one. And then if you're not that interested in the sort of boring normal executive saloon car, they also did the G37 coupe, which that is really rare. Now, I think there are 2 of those for sale on Auto Trader at the moment, and then a bunch of ones with the folding metal roofs on, but I'd steer clear of folding metal roofs personally because I'd just be too scared of them leaking water everywhere and acting like a sieve. But the standard kind of normal G37 coupe looks fabulous. It's got a 3.7 litre V6 in it, and you've got over 300 horsepower. You've got 0 to 60 in less than 6 seconds. I think that would just be a super cool rare car that you could turn up to shows in and people would be like, the heck is that? And you'd be like, well, this was actually sold in the UK, brand new, but nobody bought them. I mean, it doesn't help now that they're £700 a year to tax, but you know, we'll brush over that. Of course, it wouldn't be a JJ list without a couple of Mercedes on there, and for less than 10 grand, I mean, for probably 3 or 4 grand, you can get the original Mercedes CLS, which is absolutely brilliant looking car, like totally out there for Mercedes at the time to design it. The coupe-like saloon car that it was, the very first of that ever, you know, before the Porsche Panamera, before all of the other cars that came along after it. And it just looks so different now, like really does stand out. It's a super cool car. And you know, they had a variety of different engines, big diesel engines, big petrol engines, 5 litres, V8. You had the AMG version, 5.5 litre. Such a cool car. And you know, very affordable now. Just put some money aside for maintenance. And then of course, it wouldn't be a JJ video without the CLK. Now I already have a CLK, but this is the 200 compressor, the 1.8 litre supercharged car, which was actually the smallest, least powerful engine they did. But there was a massive variety of engines in those cars, so I'm always looking at CLKs thinking, oh, maybe I could have the 5 litre V8 version or the AMG 55, because from what I know with the AMG 55, basically it's the same car as this. All of the underpinnings and all of the everything that might go wrong on this car is basically exactly the same. So therefore, why not have the AMG 55 if you don't need to worry about fuel economy and insurance and so on? Next up for me is another very unusual and weird car. It's the Renault Twingo RS. It's the 2nd generation Renault Twingo because the French kept hold of the 1st generation for themselves and for Europe, and they never sent it over here to us. But for the 2nd generation, they got Renault Sport to breathe on it and add a 1.6 litre engine with 133 horsepower. Now, that doesn't sound like very much, but that car was so light and so small that it's actually a pretty nippy car and apparently really fun to drive. So I would very much like to get behind the wheel of one of those and try one out, and I could see myself having that car as well as this because, you know, it would be a nice little duo, wouldn't it? A totally different car. Following that, we're going to go up from one end to the other to the luxury saloon car section, the big barge section, and the LS 460 Lexus, because that car, which came out in around 2007, is still a very modern looking car now, but it's absolutely chock full of gadgets and technology. Backseat JJ would love to sit in the back of that car, I'm sure. And you know, I think they look really great now. They still have that big V8 engine, the 4.6 litre V8. There was a hybrid version as well if you wanted to try and save on fuel, but in reality, you're not going to save all that much because it's still a big, heavy car. LS 460, it's got that fantastic Japanese engineering, the really, really high quality, well-built engineering in the cars. You know, it's not going to go wrong. You just need to have some deep pockets to keep it serviced and maintained. So I could very much see myself driving around in that car, although I think Backseat JJ would benefit more from that than I would. If you don't want to go Japanese, then and you want to stick to the very fancy British versions of these cars, then there is the Jaguar XJ. Now I'm thinking specifically of the one from 2003 onwards, which it looked a little bit like the old original XJ that they'd been building for what felt like 100 years. But actually it was a completely different car. All aluminium body, very lightweight for its size, totally re-engineered car, and it had all of the modern technology that you might expect from a car from 2003 onwards. But you know, because it's lightweight, they handle nicely, they're really, really comfortable, and they, you know, if you like the look of them, which I do, I think they look like, you know, obviously the Prime Minister used to drive around in one of those or be driven around in one of those. It's very much the quintessential British car, isn't it? But if you think that that kind of big, fat, long saloon car is not quite for you, and you want to stick to the swoopy lines of a coupe, then there is the XK. Now there's the XK8, which is the older one from the 90s and early 2000s, and then the XK, which came out after it in 2006, and that car, both of them have the big V8 engines in them, lots of power. I really like that second generation one. I think it looks absolutely fabulous, and it's a car that I've always kind of looked at over the years and thought, oh, I could have one of those. Lovely sounding V8 engine. You can get a convertible version for the top down, or you can just blast along in just in style and comfort. And you know, of course, because it's a Jaguar, yes, it's comfortable, but also they'll handle well as well. And then a little curveball for you. Now, again, it's very much a JJ thing. It's a Saab, but it's the very final Saab. It's the 9.5, the last generation 9.5 that they did, which they sold right up until the demise of that company, very sadly, in 2012. And that is a really cool looking car. Now, apparently it's not actually the very best car ever made. It's based on the Vauxhall Insignia underneath, which is fine, you know, that's an okay car. It's not a bad car to start with, but they then obviously completely Saabified it, both interior and out, and the exterior of it looks like nothing else on the road. The interior of it looks like nothing else on the road except for other Saabs. Very green on black jet fighter cockpit interior, and then a very, very quirky exterior design that I love. And you know, those cars, I think they'll be worth money in the future when, you know, because there's not that many of them around, and whenever I see one, I'm just like, oh, I have to take a double take. I'm like, my neck's going around like an owl looking at it, because I just think they're so cool and so different. So yeah, that's just a few of the cars that I kind of find interesting and different, and I've been looking at and thinking, oh, I could have one of those. What sort of unusual, weird cars can you think of, and for that sort of era, that sort of budget? Please do comment below and let me know, because you know, I'd love to look these cars up as well. But yeah, as always, thank you very much for watching, and if you've enjoyed this slightly different type of video, then again, let me know down below in the comments. And yeah, cheers for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.